They don't all have to sound like this, but this is what a call out should sound like. Yep. There's no wondering, no confusion about what the intended plan is moving forward for now 3-belt champion, 147 pounds, Errol Spence Jr. He is intending on coming for that belt, Terence Crawford. As I take a look around the internet, Twitter, read articles, trying to evaluate what people who are close to the situation have to say, the one thing I can take away already is that it's highly likely that this fight is going to take place. I expressed a lack of optimism before, maybe even skepticism about the fight, just because some of the things that existed before, sides of the street, you know, Bob Arum, Top Rank, ESPN, a lot of that stuff's already been eliminated. I think for me, there's still some questions about where is Terence Crawford from a promotional perspective? Is he going straight free agent? Is he going to get an advisor? Is it really MTK Global? I don't know. But a lot of the primary hurdles have been cleared. It's just Monday, like I mentioned before, but this fight has yielded, the Spence Ugas fight has yielded some really interesting conversations outside of the Terence Crawford stuff. And one of the things that's been popping up is that this fight was fixed. Yep, it was a fixed fight. Yordenis Ugas, you know, he punched Errol. He could have stopped him, blah, 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 whatever. I have a couple questions. If you're watching this video, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, I have questions. Yordenis Ugas is changed forever. It's reported that he may have a broken orbital bone. I would not be shocked that he took pretty bad damage. It's been reported that he may have broken ribs and a broken nose. Who wants that in a fixed fight? Who wants to take that? Who wants to sustain that type of damage in a fight that's going to be fixed? Listen, I'm going down by a jab in the first round. I'm going right on the ground. I'm fucking flopping around like a fish by a jab. It's fixed, and I'm in on this. All right, it's great. I'm going right to the mat, round one by a jab, straight like that. Shout out to Jason Rosario. Anyway, but it's just highly unlikely. And I think what ends up happening is once you get the result in hand, people start trying to create narratives that help fill them with some sort of comfort or relief because things didn't go their way. I in no way believe the fight was fixed. Quite honestly, I don't even like the fact that I'm doing this video because you guys know if you've been coming to my channel, I only really like to do one thing: break down fights. So inside the square circle, this guy's jab, this person's head movement, whatever. The politics and the business of boxing, there are several YouTube channels out there that I think do a pretty good job covering this stuff. This is probably not going to be one of those channels, but some of this stuff is too interesting to just kind of leave out there. So the fact that individuals are actually operating in the space that say, you know, I feel like this was a fixed fight, not the way that Yordenis Ugas wore all that damage. That's not good for him. There's no benefit in that. Unless it was a $150 million purse, nah, straight like that. The other deal is that Yordenis Ugas could have finished Errol in the 6th round. You know what? Let's say, for the sake of argument, that Yordenis Ugas, he lands the 1-2 on Spence. Spence goes in the rope. Let's say Spence goes down. This is not the UFC. He's not going to follow him down in the ground and pound him out of there. He's going to get his opportunity to get his standing 8 count, recover, and then resume the fight. There's nothing to suggest. Why would I assume that Yordenis Ugas is going to hit him one more? He's just going to go out cold. Just blast him and he out of there. So assumptions are, oh, well, this could have happened if only maybe and blah, blah, blah. The ref. Who gives a shit? Like, seriously. If you pick Ugas to win or you put money on Ugas or you just simply picked against Errol Spence, it just didn't go your way, and I think that's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It didn't go your way. Errol Spence went out there and he changed Yordenis Ugas. I was going to save this for another video, but one thing I find to be interesting is they talk about, well, Errol Spence hasn't stopped anyone since, you know, ... But if you look at these fights, right, you think about Leonard Bundu. That's a while ago. He knocked him out brutally. Phil LaGreco got stopped in the 3rd round. He was getting punished. Keith Van Heerden, he got stopped. Lamont Peterson, but then you have the Mikey Garcia. We criticized Errol because he get Mikey Garcia, but Mikey Garcia may have been too tough for his own good. That fight probably should have been stopped on that 9th. He got punched unnecessarily. You move on to Sean Porter. Sean Porter's a tough opponent. He'd never been stopped before until he fought Terence Crawford. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind is the damage that he's putting on people. He damaged Danny Garcia. He damaged Kell Brook back in the day. He damaged Yordenis Ugas. Maybe we're seeing a transition of a power style from, you know, the Chris Algieri style knockout where he just brutalized him, or Leonard Bundu, to the style where if you're going to be in the ring, you might even beat Errol Spence. But if you make it 7-8 rounds, you'll probably be changed a little bit. I think we're seeing a different version of Errol from a power delivery perspective that might be something frightening for his opposition moving forward. Win, lose, or draw, you might have to say, I fought Errol Spence, and this is what it looks like when you do that. Anyway, moving right along. Oh, you know what? And I have a question. This is another question I have for the fans out there. Let's say you really enjoy Terence Crawford, former undisputed at 140, comes up, beats up Jeff Horn, who got the belt from Pacquiao. He becomes a champion. Some question his resume. You got a Kell Brook in there. You got what's his damn name that he beat up? Well, obviously he got Sean Porter. He got I can't remember the dude's name that he got his face broke up by Errol Spence Jr. And Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Sean Porter. You might question some of the names or whatever the case may be. Kaviasis, Mean Machine. But, Terence Crawford is no mistake about it. This dude's a savage. He's a killer in there. He's a brutal finisher. At first when the Sean Porter fight got stopped, I didn't agree with it. I still kind of don't, but I kind of understand because Sean Porter had been figured out at that point. Terence Crawford was dialed in. He was going to stop Sean Porter brutally. Shout out to Sean Porter. Shout out to his dad. But if you like Terence Crawford, you rock with him. But then you check for Errol Spence, right? EJ, body snatcher, body punches, He folded up Carlos Ocampo, his mandatory, who was undefeated at the time in the first round. Carlos Ocampo has only gone on to win 5 fights in a row, 4 of those by stoppage. So you just like that kind of style of fighting. But if you favor one over the other, why do you have to despise or denigrate the other person? So if I check for Errol Spence, why do I have to denigrate Terence Crawford? If I check for Terence Crawford, why do I have to denigrate, disrespect, or whatever Errol Spence Jr.? I need an answer to that question because I don't think I'm going to get a good one, but I don't see that. So for me, I'm excited because boxing's going to win. If that fight takes place, boxing's going to win. I think that's what's most important. So I need to answer that question. Last but not least, so I'm going to put 2 tweets up, and y'all check them out. Both from Errol Spence Jr.'s verified page. Well, one from Errol Spence's verified page, and one from weird-ass Oscar De La Hoya. This is when you know you're down bad in the business of boxing. Now, I know Oscar, he probably bred it up. He got his bread right. But how are you going to tweet out, what if I made a fight with Virgil Ortiz and I put it in Dallas and blah, blah, blah with Errol Spence? Now, Errol Spence had an appropriate response. I only want one fight, and you don't have that fighter. We know that's Terence Bud Crawford. And then, in a moment of desperation, like, damn, right, that might not work out, you're going to go to Terence Crawford, add him on Twitter, and talk about, I'll represent you and make sure all your interests are aligned and met, and I'll even do it for free because that's how bad I want to see the fight. Nobody's checking for you, Oscar De La Hoya. You begging. You out here begging. That shit is weird. Don't do that. Where's Virgil Ortiz? He gotta make weight or something like that. I don't know, but shout out to Oscar De La Hoya for begging and trying to get in the mix because that will be the preeminent fight of this year if it takes place. It is the only fight to be made in the sport of boxing in the welterweight division, 147 pounds. Errol Spence Jr., 3-belt champion. Terence Bud Crawford, just a finisher, a killer, and somebody we all know to be one of the best, if not the best, pound for pound, clashing in this division. Like I mentioned, this is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Did you think this fight was fixed? What's next for Ugas? Why is De La Hoya begging? Just let me know what it is. Like, subscribe, bell icon for notification. One last thing. If you guys are enjoying this content, you really feel like, you know what? This is dope. I love the breakdowns, this, that, and the other. Share this shit with somebody else. Help a friend, help a friend. This your boy JG. We out.